We, the members of the Polk County Sheriff's Office, are committed to excellence in providing law enforcement, detention, and public safety services. In partnership with our community, we will serve with integrity, compassion, accountability, and professionalism. December 9, 2022. Illegally altered firearms recovered by Polk County Sheriff's Office. Deputies while assisting FHP on a traffic stop, 2 people arrested. 2 people were arrested and 2 illegally altered firearms were seized by the Polk County Sheriff's Office on Thursday, December 8, 2022. Near Lakeland after a Florida Highway Patrol trooper encountered resistance from the couple during a traffic stop. The driver, 27-year-old Samuel Timothy Doolin of Lakeland, was charged by the PCSO with possession of a fully automatic firearm. F2, 2 counts. Possession of a short-barrel rifle, F2. Possession of a firearm with altered/removed serial number, F3. And resisting without violence, M1. The passenger, 23-year-old Tiffany N. Beam of Lakeland, was charged by the PCSO with resisting without violence, M1. At about 6:25 a.m. Thursday morning, the trooper stopped the couple's blue 1985 Chevrolet truck on Kathleen Road near Laurel Woods Lane. The truck had no license plate displayed. Upon contact with the couple, Doolin refused multiple requests to identify himself and exit the vehicle. And the trooper noticed a handgun on the seat between the occupants, which Doolin told the trooper was for his protection against law enforcement. For safety purposes, the trooper returned to his patrol vehicle and requested backup. When deputies arrived, they ordered the couple to exit the truck numerous times, and both refused. The deputies then approached the truck while using a ballistic shield for their protection, and repeatedly ordered the 2 out of the truck. They continued to refuse. Deputies then broke the back window of the truck. Doolin again refused to exit the vehicle and a taser was used to take Doolin into custody. Beam offered no further resistance. During an inventory of the truck, 5 firearms were found. Among them were a Glock 9mm handgun which had been altered from semi-automatic to automatic, and a rifle that was also altered to operate as an automatic weapon, and was equipped with a 14-barrel. Federal law requires a barrel length of a rifle to be no less than 16. The rifle also had no identifiable model or serial number. The Florida Highway Patrol also charged Doolin with resisting with violence and cited him for not displaying a proper tag, expired registration, failure to show proof of insurance, failure to show identification, and failure to provide vehicle registration. December 29, 2022. Convicted felon charged with first-degree murder for the Christmas Eve killing of his wife. Polk County Sheriff's Office detectives charged 39-year-old Ronald Lockett, Jr. of Lakeland for first-degree murder, F1, of his wife. 39-year-old Shamika Lockett. Ronald Lockett, Jr. is a registered felon who has served 2 prison sentences. One for battery in 2011, and then again in 2020 for battery, burglary, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and fleeing from law enforcement. A family member of Shamika Lockett went to Ms. Lockett's home near West Patterson Street in Lakeland on December 24 to check on Shamika and found her unresponsive and on the floor in a bedroom. The family member called 911. PCSO detectives arrived around 8:30 p.m. and found the victim had been fatally shot. During the investigation, detectives learned that Ronald Lockett was on pretrial release conditions for aggravated battery domestic violence, F2, and knowingly driving without a license, M2, and prohibited from contacting Shamika. He violated those conditions when he picked her up from her place of employment around 1:30 a.m. that morning. Lockett then drove Shamika home. When detectives interviewed family members in the home, they told detectives that they heard the couple arguing, followed by a noise they described as a pop. During a search of the home, detectives located 27 rounds of ammunition and Ronald Lockett's identification card. Also located inside the home was a container with a white powder that tested positive for ecstasy. The next day, detectives found Ronald Lockett at a different residence in Lakeland. Lockett admitted to detectives that he picked Shamika up from work and took her home, but he denied any involvement in the murder. Lockett also told detectives that he sold ecstasy pills to make extra money. Lockett was initially arrested for possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, F2. Possession of ecstasy, F3. Possession of drug paraphernalia, M1. And violation of pretrial release conditions, 4. Aggravated battery domestic violence, F2. And knowingly driving without a license, M2. Following the results of the autopsy, which determined the cause of death a homicide, detectives additionally charged Lockett with first-degree murder. He is still in the Polk County Jail and being held with no bond. Lockett's criminal history includes 10 felonies and 24 misdemeanors for numerous domestic violence battery charges, burglary, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, DUI, false information to a law enforcement officer, resisting an officer, fleeing from law enforcement, possession of marijuana, failure to appear, violation of probation. February 21, 2023. Private school teacher's assistant arrested for sexual offenses against a student in Poinciana. Detectives from the Special Victims Unit at the Polk County Sheriff's Office arrested a Poinciana Christian School 9th grade teacher's assistant early Tuesday morning, February 21, 2023. 53-year-old Roberto Diaz, who is employed by the Poinciana Christian Preparatory School South 601 Walnut Street in Poinciana, was charged with sex offense on a student. By authority figure, F2. Diaz also taught a Bible studies class at the school. The sheriff's office began an investigation on Monday, February 20 at about 6:15 p.m. after an 18-year-old student told school staff that Diaz had sent her about 6 messages between February 6 to February 14 via the WhatsApp messaging app asking her for photos of herself, including a request for one in the nude. The victim said she refused Diaz's requests and told Diaz to stop sending her messages. The victim also stated that on February 15, Diaz placed his hand on her chin and neck area and attempted to kiss her and touch her breast. School officials notified the Polk County Sheriff's Office about the allegations. They informed detectives that Diaz was suspended immediately pending the investigation. During an interview with detectives, Diaz admitted that he kissed the victim and touched her breast against her will. He also admitted to asking her for a nude photo of herself. Roberto Diaz was arrested and taken to the Sheriff's Processing Center. Any inquiries regarding Diaz's employment status should be made to Poinciana Christian Preparatory School South. It infuriates me that someone in this kind of a position, as an educator, role model, a religious instructor, and a person of influence, would attempt to take advantage of a student for his own sexual satisfaction. He should be locked up in prison and never have access to schools or children again. Grady Judd, Sheriff. January 19, 2023. 2 Winter Haven men arrested for trafficking in fentanyl. Following the drug overdose death of a Volusia County man. On January 17, 2023, Polk County Sheriff's Office detectives arrested 23-year-old Brandon Jones and 32-year-old Joafran Padilla, 3 both from Winter Haven, for trafficking in fentanyl and other charges following the drug overdose death of a Volusia County man. On November 6, 2022, PCSO deputies and Polk Fire Rescue personnel responded to William G. Rowe Park, 2403 7th Street SW, in Winter Haven and found the 52-year-old man unresponsive. The victim was transported to a local hospital and treated for a drug overdose. The drugs found on the man tested positive for fentanyl. On November 24, just a few weeks after the victim was released from the hospital, he died in Volusia County as a result of another suspected drug overdose. His death is still under investigation in Volusia County. Through investigative means, PCSO detectives learned the victim purchased fentanyl from a man known as BJ. BJ was identified as Brandon Jones. A second suspect was also identified as Joafran Padilla III. Over the course of the 2-month investigation, Polk Sheriff's undercover detectives negotiated multiple illegal drug purchases. Detectives then served a warrant at Jones' residence, 120 Oak Crest Drive, in Winter Haven, and in total seized 0.25 pound of fentanyl, street value, $17,000. 120 grams of methamphetamine, street value, $9,280. Over 1 pound of high-grade marijuana, street value, $9,280. The amount of fentanyl seized is enough to kill about 70,000 people. During one negotiated purchase, Padilla and Jones met the detective at the agreed-upon location. Jones then handed Padilla a clear bag of almost 58 grams of fentanyl to give to the detective. On another occasion, Jones warned the detective to not take too much of it, methamphetamine, because it's really strong. Brandon Jones was arrested for trafficking in fentanyl, F1, 5 counts. Trafficking in methamphetamine, F1. Possession of methamphetamine, F3. Use of a two-way device to commit a felony, F3. Possession of marijuana with intent to sell, F3. Possession of marijuana over 20 grams, F3. Possession of drug paraphernalia, M1, 5 counts. Resisting without violence, M1. His previous criminal history includes 8 felonies and 10 misdemeanors for battery, domestic violence battery, burglary, grand theft, false imprisonment, petty theft, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and violation of probation. Jones is currently in the Polk County Jail and does not have a bond. Joafran Padilla III was arrested for trafficking in fentanyl, F1. Possession of drug paraphernalia, M1. Failure to appear, petty theft, M1. His previous criminal history includes 11 felonies and 9 misdemeanors for burglary, grand theft, domestic violence battery, petty theft, possession of methamphetamine, possession of heroin, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and violation of probation. Padilla is currently in the Polk County Jail and does not have a bond. Equality before the law, also known as equality under the law. Equality in the eyes of the law, legal equality, or legal egalitarianism, is the principle that all people must be equally protected by the law. The rule of law is a political ideal that all citizens and institutions within a country, state, or community are accountable to the same laws, including lawmakers and leaders. It is sometimes stated simply as no one is above the law.